Welcome to the channel all about economic board games. Today I'm going to be giving you an overview of this game in front of me called Prosperity, and you can see the designers just below there, a name you may be familiar with, Rainer Knizia and Sebastian Bleasdale as well, and it's brought to you by Istari Games, and this one plays 2 to 4. It says 60 minutes on the box. I'd probably say more like 90 minutes, and I'd probably class this as a medium complexity game. So to summarize, what are you doing then? So you are a leader of a nation, and this is your player board here. We're kind of France in this case, but that makes no difference. And you are developing your infrastructure, you'll be developing your transport links, your power, and your supply as well. And as you do that through the decades, you'll start in the 1970s, working your way up to the 2030s. You'll be trying to manage and balance your ecology here on the track against your energy. You want to balance off your pollution as you go along. These tokens represent that, and you're basically trying to get more prosperous and get more finance and get victory points through that way, and lead a positive footprint for your future generations. So how does the actual game work then? Your turn will begin with taking one of these tokens here, and you can see it starts in the 1970s, and as I said, it works your way through each decade, and each of those tiles goes all the way to 2030, and when that pile is run out, that triggers the game end. And you can see all those tiles. This is the starting tiles. You've got kind of the blue track here, which represents more focused on energy, and your ecology sort of tiles more focused on that on the green side. And these tiles will come out, so let's just take this top one just to show you what happened. So your turn, you start off, your player one, you take the tile, you then will score anything that has a white boundary on it. So in this case, you would score, well, everyone would score the ecology track. So you'd look at the green track here, and depending on where your token is, so if it's in this range here, you're going to be losing a pollution, which is great, you want to lose those. And if it's in this section here, if you can just about see with the light beaming on it, you're going to be gaining one, which isn't too great because you've added pollution to your nation. And you then, once everyone's kind of scored that white symbol, you add this token. You can see the number 1, and you can see it works its way up, number 1 to 6, and because it's on the right hand side, you can see it's going to go on here, so that goes there, which is now potentially available to purchase. And the next thing you do is you've got 2 actions, and you can see it kind of shows you on the board what you can do. 2 times actions. You can either take $100, you can knock off a pollution from your track, you can research, which is basically going up on either one of these 2 paths here, so you can move up. You can see the different areas as well, and as you research, you get better at it, you get the chance to get these for cheaper. And I'll kind of go over a bit more about that in a sec, but that's another thing you can do. And finally, you can acquire one of these tiles and pay for it and add it to your area and your nation. So that's the 4 different actions, and you can do any of them twice as well, or different ones. And this here kind of shows how you're going to end the game, and I'll go through that in a minute. So the money's pretty straightforward. You just want money, and you can help you buy stuff. Why would you want to take pollution then? Because as you go lower and lower, you can see that these might be revealed, and those are basically victory points. They're called prosperity points, and the more you get of them, obviously the more points you're going to be acquiring. And you can see there's another one at the end here, so potentially 3, and if you ever get to the bottom, you're going to be getting plus 50 for each time that you are able to take another pollution off. The research is important then, because as you get higher up, if for example this yellow one here, you can see these different sections, is on this one, you can see that if you are equal to the current status, it's going to cost you $100. So if you want to buy one of these, $100. If you want anything below it, so anything in these 2 zones here, it's going to be $50, which is great because you've done all the hard work and you researched. If you want anything above it, it's going to cost you the level you're on, so 100, and then say if I want something on level 5, that's going to cost me an extra 200, so 300 to buy one of those. And equally, it's the same same on the other side. So you've got 2 different tracks, and depending where you are, and obviously the further you are, you potentially get points at the end, which I'll go through. So that is the how you're going to research. Now, in terms of the actual tiles then, you can see on your board, I did mention briefly in the summary, you've got 2 options for power, the pink ones, and you can see you already start with on the board one of these, probably a coal or something or other. You got 1 orange on this side, which is the supply, so that's how it's supplying the power. You've got a few greys at the bottom, which is your infrastructure, so you can develop all sorts of car manufacturing. And the actual tiles, let me just grab the rule book, it kind of shows you really nicely what everything is, which just adds a little bit of flavour to the game, because in reality you're really just looking at the symbols rather than having to know what everything is. But you can see on here, for example, you know, in this one at the back page goes through the decades, so you can see in the 1970s at the top left, solar power station, and you got botanical gardens, and then as you go, let's just skip straight to 2030, you can see you got a fusion power station and a maglev train network and space elevators and all sorts of stuff. But what exactly do these tiles do then? So looking at a tile, anything that's top left is something, well, depending on the colour, and you can kind of see on your track here, it's kind of useful symbology. So the blue means you're going to gain it, and the green means you're going to gain the tree as well. So in this case, we're going to gain 2 energy, and that's already on the starting board anyway. A red tree, you can see we're going to lose 1 red, and if it's a purple symbol, we're going to lose 1 power. So let's just say on our go, we've revealed this top tile, which we've already added on. We're then going to do our 2 actions, and we're going to take, you start with $100 anyway, we're going to take 1 action, take 100, and then we're going to buy a tile. So looking at the board, we're deciding, okay, we want to go for another power station, and let's just assume that's down here. So it's going to cost us $100, remember, because we're on the same level. We take this one, and we can put it anywhere on our nation on a pink one, so you could cover this over. Now if I just put it here, you can see if that focuses in a little bit better. I'm going to get 4 blue energy, so I'd move this up, starts on the red one, so 1, 2, 3, 4, that's right, yeah, 5, and then you're going to be losing 2 on the ecology tracks, we're down there. Now that's great, but I've only got 2 pink spaces, so you can overlay them in the future. So if I did put it here, you can see the difference would be I would actually only gain 2 power, because I've already had the 2 and the benefit of that, and I would lose only 1 more tree. So you can see, you know, there's a bit of strategy as to whether you want to place them over and utilise your space. And you'll notice at the bottom, to be able to access these 2 infrastructure spots, you need to build a, because there's a little X there at the moment, you can see this sort of connection, you need to build some sort of transport. Let me just go and grab one. So for example, this one here, some sort of train network, and then you're able to access those 2 spots. So going back to when you actually, so that's your go, next player goes, and they then reveal one of these tiles, and you can see as you work through, you're going to be going through the decades. Now let's just have a look at some of these extra scoring things. So this one here, this white symbol, means you're going to be scoring any of those symbols on your board, and you get a point immediately, including any of these that are shown. So if this was the case at the moment, none of our buildings have got this this symbol. Yeah, we've got 2 here, so you'd literally get 2 points. And at the top, it's a bit of a weird scoring track, but you've got your own unique column. So you just go 1, 2 in that snake fashion, and that's your points. And points are very tight in this game. Now, if this symbol came out, in terms of the white border, you'd look at this track, and depending on where you are, let's just say we're on 3, you get $50 for each one that's positive, so you get 150 money. If you're negative, you're going to be losing 100 per one, or you're going to be adding a pollution to your track, because thematically you're having to, you know, get dirty energy to support your nation, because you've built this infrastructure or whatever you've got, and you're having to fund it, and there's more pollution. And on the ecology track, the better up you are, you've got more trees, you're invested in greener, you know, resource, you're going to be losing pollution, which is great, because, you know, you've got more of these symbols on show for victory points. But again, if you've not really focused and you've not spent, you know, enough on renewable energies and what have you, you're going to be plus some pollution. If you ever get to this top bit, which can be unlimited, it goes up and up and up, you can't even score that symbol if it ever comes up for any of these. So let's have a little look at what else we've got here. So look through the the nations. You know, you've got these hydrogen cars by the look of it. You're going to get 2 extra green there, cost you 1 energy. You've got these infrastructure ones, which are pretty cool. So looking at this one then, so 1990s, you look at this index, you go through and you can see this one is at the end a microprocessor labs, and it's got one of these symbols in white, which is handy. So every time that comes out for scoring, I'm going to get a victory point. It's got a research symbol, which is nice as well, because that means I can go up on those 2 tracks just on the side here by 1. So yeah, a lot of cool benefits on these, and I like looking at what they actually are. And as well, I'm just going to flip this whole board over. It's kind of an advanced side as well, which you know, it adds a little bit of flavour. So there's 3 pinks in this case. There's a couple more infrastructure spots and a few different connections to build your transport, and you can see you're starting slightly different positions, and the actual prosperity symbols are slightly higher up. So I like that, a bit of variety. Now, in terms of when the last tile is tokened, so you've gone all the way to 2030, you'll then score the based on this sort of symbology here. So you'll do the power twice. So that'll potentially give you extra money. You'll do the ecology twice, which might give you extra money at the bottom or allow you to reveal some of these. You'll then, this symbol, which I've not really touched on, but that is basically going to get you $100. So you can see if this one comes out with the white border, if you have any of those symbols on here. So let me just see, well, let's just say you have this one on here, you get $100 for each symbol there. And oh, that's very blurry. Let's zoom in a little bit. And then you're basically going to convert all your money, so 300 for a victory point basically, and then whoever is the highest on one of the tracks, so do the green and the blue, is going to get 3 victory points, and whoever second is going to get a point. And then basically you're going to add up all these symbols on your board that are you can see are visible, so you get 1, 2, 3, and then if there's any on here as well, for example, if you'd build this one here, you're going to get 2 extra points there, and that's pretty much it. You add up all your prosperity, and that's the end of the game. So the winner. So for me, I think there's so much synergy in this game. There's this tight balance between working on this power track, working on the ecology, and you tend to go up on one and then you're struggling on another. And you know, I like you can basically just focus on the symbols on these, but if you kind of want to know what they actually are, just for thematic sense, you know, that index is really nice, and I think every point really counts in this game. And it's kind of nice how the research works as well, because you're kind of competing against your opponents, trying to just edge into this next section, so you're not paying you know, you're not wasting your money as your nation, and you know, you want to kind of keep up. So you know, those 3 points at the end are going to be extremely valuable. And I do like how you go from the 70s, where you've got rudimentary tiles that do what you can see on here really. So from the 70s you've got things like, oh, solar power has been invented and bullet trains, and then you get through to the 90s, nuclear comes into play, and you've got hydrogen vehicles and artificial intelligence. And then driverless cars come into 2020, which is now, but I think we're a few years off that anyway. So there we are, folks. Hopefully that's been of use to you. A good overview of a nice little game, this one, Prosperity.